This is Gateway's NE56R34u series laptop. It's in the NE series of Gateway computers, which stands for typically mid-range to lower-end PCs and laptops. And we've been seeing the same hardware in terms of the outside and the design for a long time now. We've been seeing the NE series take on a similar glossy look and a metallic finish that's been on the series and lineup of PCs since Windows 7. And now that we have Windows 8, the 34U model is going to present with us the latest operating system, slicker UI, and integration with graphics, and overall a better experience for entertainment and the general user. Now, on price point, this is only going to cost you $400 at Best Buy and Fry's Electronics, so it is fairly inexpensive for what it tries to do. It fits in an Intel Pentium processor, which is dual core, and is clocked at 2.2 gigahertz. It also has 4 gigs of memory in terms of. Let's open this for a second and just take a look at specs. You've got for the DDR3 memory, and you also have a traditional 15.6-inch display, which is LED backlit. It's an LCD with an LED backlit, so it's going to be brighter and more vibrant colors than traditional. You also have, of course, the B960 processor, which again I talked about with the Pentium. And we also have 500 gigs of hard drive, a DVD drive, 6-cell lithium-ion battery that's going to last in our test around 6 hours, 5 hours, so it's a very strong battery life. So for a traditional laptop computer that is not an Ultrabook, it's fairly thin also, that has packs and you're going to be connected again always to the internet via Wi-Fi. 5-hour battery life is something that's really respectable and commendable in something like this. At least in our initial testing, we found the battery life to be a really strong forte of this product. So it's traditional. It's not as thin as an Ultrabook, but the whole hype of 2012 is definitely going to be on slimness and the whole slim factor. And this is certainly, it's trending there. It's getting there. It brings a nice step into traditional laptop computing. So for a general user, I think this large screen S8 of 15.6 inches is going to be enjoyable. Let's take a look at the hardware. Again, we've been seeing the same type of thing again from a Gateway for quite a while now. We have this really nice brushed metal finish on the left-hand side that we really liked. Otherwise, the whole finish is black silver, and it's a huge fingerprint magnet. And it's really reflective and shiny. And depending on what, it does look really good, but just be warned, you're going to have to clean this a lot. So if you're not someone who is very tidy and organized, then that's going to be a slight down point. On the left-hand side of the device, you have access to charging, your landline connection for internet, a fan, you have a VGA port for TV out, and you have an HDMI port for HD displays, and you have a USB 2.0 as well as a microphone and a headphone jack, which is 3.5 millimeters. On the bottom, you have access to a card with multiple card reader that includes SD cards and Sony cards, all those standard formats. And in addition, on the right-hand side, we have access to 2 more USB 2.0 slots and a DVD rewritable and CD playable and rewritable slot down below. To prove this is Windows 8, we're going to turn this over and show you. Voila, Windows 8. Now, the 34U series is pretty interesting because there's no USB 3.0 device, 3.0 slot on this product, and for the price point around $400 of a mid-range PC, we kind of expect a USB 3.0 to be emerging out of the slots, and a lot of other manufacturers like HP and Lenovo have already built that in, so this device does not have that, which is a little bit disappointing. Otherwise, though, the CPU, the Pentium, the dual-core 2.2 GHz processor is fairly good for your basic web browsing, multimedia needs. For very light gaming and for productivity, it's going to run just fine. In terms of the design on the inside, it's very traditional. It's got this, it's not glass, it's plastic, but it kind of looks like a glass because, again, it's really glossy. Of a finish here. The touchpad is actually surprisingly small in today's standards, which is something I did not like when using this product. It's responsive. It's actually one of the better touchpads I've used compared to a lot of HPs. That said, it's very small. Multi-touch, again, I didn't have too much problems, but someone with larger fingers might find this a little bit small. You also have a 1-button clicker, which is stylish, but I would rather have 2, although this one is pretty sensitive. You also have a scrolling for page scroll in case you want to do that. Nothing else. The keyboard itself is not a chiclet style or island style. It's going to be your traditional style. It's fairly large and comfortable to type on. However, we did not entirely appreciate the fact that the layout was also included a separate numeric D-pad, because we already have the buttons up here. That made the keypad a little bit more vertical than horizontal, and that means that some people will need to get used to this initially when typing, that you're going to be a little bit more on the left-hand side, and you're going to be staring at the screen. It's going to be a little bit of a offset. There's going to be an on-off switch on the top in addition to your speaker grill, and you also have access to the gateway logo. On top of the 15.6-inch screen, you have access to a webcam, which is said to be a 720p webcam, although resolution-wise it's only around 3 megapixels, so nothing too huge there. So let's just turn this on. Again, Windows 8 promises to bring a lot faster boot up and response times than traditional systems. I also one of the downer points of this device is the plastic that they use. It makes the device fairly lightweight, but the black plastic feels really hollow, and the design of this device is really triangular. So when you're holding the plasticky part over the glossy parts, the black plastic actually feels a little bit cheaply made in hand, but maybe that's just me. I'm not exactly sure, but that's just something to take note of. Now let's take a look at the screen. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of Windows 8 of Windows 8 systems without the actual touch component, and I also don't love Windows 8 screens because they reveal quite a lot of information from the live tiles, and because of this we have to customize and actually play around with the settings to make sure our review model here didn't contain any accidentally emails and pictures and stuff. So it is a little bit irksome as a reviewer to work with this right now, but Windows 8 is a superbly beautiful UI, especially here in the Metro-like system, which is more customized for touch, but still on a traditional device you would just use the scrolling on a multi-touch gesture on the D-pad to go left and right from the pages. The same thing works here. It's really responsive, or you can just drag the taskbar from below using the mouse or the pointer, and you can use that to move left and right on the screen. And pressing that, of course, launches us back to the traditional screen, and launching the Windows key also brings us back to the screen here itself. So in terms of the user experience, it's going to be very on point with what we've been seeing on Windows 8 PCs. It's nice, it's fast, it's responsive. Again, switching back and forth between the two systems are fast. However, if you're someone who's really used to Windows 7 and Windows XP, this is going to be a huge learning curve, only because there's so much new stuff, including the gestures on the touchpad, which allow you to slide back and forth between the different apps by just tapping like so. So if you're not someone who's used to that, it's going to be, again, needing a learning curve. In terms of starting apps, this computer does not come preloaded with too much stuff out of the box. You have your basic mail client, you have maps for viewing where you are and using information to track your location. We're going to try the multi-touch and see how well it works. Right now we're connected over Wi-Fi, so it found our location here over in Seattle. And if we zoom in using the multi-touch on the D-pad, you can see that the response is actually fairly good. It's getting a lot better on Windows 8 than it did on Windows 7. On Windows 7, when we tried to use the D-pad to multi-touch, things were really choppy. Now, granted, this is using Bing Maps, which might be different from Google Maps, but it is really responsive, and right now I'm pretty impressed. You can also find camera turn directions and navigate using the Maps view. You also have a SkyDrive for saving information on the web if you don't think the 500 gigs is enough. You have some stocks. Again, the whole thing about live tiles and Windows 8 is that these information are constantly updating, like news feeds on the Motorola Blur on Android. So it's always bringing new information and tying it into the system and bringing it in, so you're constantly getting the fastest and the newest stuff that's happening right now. Now, the Gateway 34U series of NE laptops is also really silent for a traditional 15.6-inch device. You can't really hear the fan. Also, the heating problems are really there's no heating problems, and the laptop remains at a temperature that's really good if you're using this on your lap or at extreme reading angles at night or something like that. So this is just a brief look at some of the apps of HP articles. Again, we can use the D-pad to scroll through these different things. It's loading it right now. You can see that it's fairly responsive and fairly fast to use, and very clean and very elegant overall as well. Sometimes using Wi-Fi, loading pages on the web actually took a few seconds longer than we expected, but they handled tasks pretty well, and word editing and graphics editing, a few basic games that they played were all ran very smoothly and functioned as you might expect. Definitely helped by the 4 gig of DDR3 memory. It's definitely a helper there. Alright, so there you have the Microsoft Store. So once you sign in with your information here, you can also, of course, download apps and games using that. It's a whole hype thing. And, if you are into something like that, of bringing the mobile side of stuff into a computer, it's good because it brings kind of mobile apps into a traditional PC, as well as maintaining here the traditional PC side. So it's a best of 2 worlds. But it does require a lot of learning curves if you're getting used to the system over time. But if you're willing to learn, you're willing to commit, and you're willing to have a little bit of fun, I'm sure Windows 8 will work out fine for you. And if that's the case, the Gateway NE56R34u laptop may be one of the better choices if you're starting out in Windows 8, don't know if you're going to love it or not, because this laptop is not going to cost you an arm and a leg. At the same time, if you do enjoy it, it's going to actually have a pretty solid performance, and you can keep it around the house and use it for multiple causes. Now, other features that comes included that's a little bit more customized by Gateway. You have some photos, you have Xbox Play, music, you have your webcam. The webcam quality was actually surprisingly not as good as it was said to be. It's not as HD. There's no backlight. It's a little bit grainy on video, but it does the chatting application justice. You have the Kindle app for reading books. It's what you expect. Reading on an LCD screen is still not what I really enjoy doing on a regular basis because it strains your eyes, even if the screen on this device is fairly good. It's really bright and vibrant, as you can see. Unfortunately, viewing angles are not the best in the world. You also have the eBay client here if you're buying and selling stuff and you want to do quick searches in this very mobile-like view to access stuff. That was interesting. You also have encyclopedias to access, so if you're doing research, all the animations and stuff on history, you should also find this on Britannica Encyclopedia. Actually haven't used this a lot, but it definitely brings in a lot of information for you, and it's also a more credible source than Wikipedia. So you can take a look at popular figures, you can type in people in history that are important to study for a history project and gather information, and do quick research and work. So, let's see if there's anything else. There's Netflix included, which is a great service to have directly from your start screen. In addition, you have access to Cookbook, which allows you to access quick recipes. Well, I'm going to launch that in a second. You also have a quick chatting application. You have Skype on here, which is great. You also have a few games built in from the device. You also have Norton security on this model, but it's only a trial version for 60 days, as well as Spotify games, which is pretty fun to play as well, and Office, which again is a trial version that's not going to last you that long. So on the downside of things, this is a very, very stock experience from Gateway. It really allows the user to customize and download their favorite apps and programs either via DVD drive or from the App Store. So it doesn't come included with a lot of bundled goodies, so it's not going to be as clustered, so you have a lot of memory to customize and place what you want there. Okay, so this is the iCookbook app that does come included with this product. You can basically cook all these recipes and desserts and cupcakes, and do that. Now the screen is also fairly responsive and fairly bright, like we said a few moments ago. However, you will notice when we're moving really fast, transitions are not as smooth as we would have expected. There's a little bit of lag and a little bit of ghosting effect on the screen, which is a little bit strange, but again, this device isn't that expensive, so the cost should be put into perspective. So launching into the traditional desktop view, you'll find a very traditional view. Of course, with Windows 8, it's not you don't have the start screen anymore, because the start screen is that whole smartphone-like tile screen. Instead, your traditional screen here is just going to be for browsing files, like a file manager. You still have access to a few things like here. This is from Windows 7, your sticky notes, which is pretty fun. However, Windows 8 entirely got rid of widgets, which is something I actually kind of enjoyed. I thought it was a little bit, yes, it was a little bit of a gimmick, but it was fun to play with those little widgets that you could drag around like pianos and puzzles. They got rid of those to speeden up the processor and the performance, but you do have all your sticky notes and access to Paint and Your traditional games like pinball, everything is you can find them under My Computer and Programs. In addition, right now you have a link to Amazon.com. Do know that right now, because if we launch up the Windows Internet Explorer instead, this is the start screen, there's two different versions of Internet Explorer. The one in your start screen is going to be your mobile version, and if I was just doing a quick search on a Denon product right now, it's very customizable. It takes up the whole screen, and it's very mobile-like, and of course multi-touch works really well, and gestures work great. I can also switch back and forth between my open apps, and a circle-like view. That all works very fun, very intuitive. Let's get back to where we were. And also, when we want to bring down our list of open pages, on the touchpad we drag down. So we drag down our touchpad and we bring up new pages. We can click these out and create new ones. So we're going to go to google.com or New York Times. New York Times. See if it finds anything. You have the New York Times, and let's click on that link. Again, fairly speedy over Wi-Fi. It does take a little bit of time to respond. We did not have any problems in terms of playing YouTube videos back and Flash content on this device. YouTube videos, HD quality, loaded without any stuttering, so that was fairly impressive as well. Slower connections, of course, it's going to vary depending on your region and your wireless service and subscription. Like right now, it's being spotty, I guess, because it is being not that fast. Anyways, you get the general idea and the general gist. If we go into the desktop view and launch it, oh dear, desktop Internet Explorer and launch it, we have access to the traditional Internet Explorer, which is going to be a lot more, it's going to be a lot more on point with Windows 7. In fact, it is pretty much what you see on Windows 7. It's going to be a little bit slower, but still it's the same overall experience. It's just you have more access to different things. Now, a thing I have to point out about this interface is that if you are used to using Windows 7, you know that if you're a bilingual speaker, like if you speak Spanish, if you speak Chinese at home, in addition to typing English, you want to be able to switch languages. And languages are typically switched on the bottom right-hand corner of the traditional screen. Same thing goes on here. To switch the keyboard and language preferences, you would click down here to change settings, which means that when we're in that fun app screen, you cannot change languages. So you have to use the old style of Internet Explorer if you're planning on typing out and switching back and forth effortlessly between both English and Spanish and Chinese. Different languages, anyways, you have to use this one. It's going to be a lot more simpler, which is something I would like to see Microsoft implement on their mobile version of Internet Explorer in the tiles, sure. So again, let's use New York Times and see the speed on that. Grouping to find it. And that's pretty much all. The Gateway NE56R34 series, again, it's it's something that's going to work really well in your home or in your office for a fairly mid-end to inexpensive device with a good CPU. It's got a great amount of that DDR3 memory built in, with about 4 gigs. It's got a good screen. It's a very traditional and conventional laptop for people who want entertainment and who want to get work and productivity done at an inexpensive price. We would recommend this device. It looks good. It functions really good. The battery life is strong. Performance is overall pretty impressive, and and it offers the whole Windows 8 experience at a cheap price where if you don't like it, it's not going to cost you an arm and a leg and a fortune. But if you do like it, it would be a great solution to work and keep on using. So thanks for watching here at OS and VTXReviews.com. Let's just bring a brief look at this laptop PC, and you can check out our full review of this Gateway laptop on our website.